How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid. It had a slight pullback inside of the market. Also, one of the members in the Discord was saying, hey, who plays options on Lucid in here? And I said, you know what? Let me give you the strategy for Thursday. So I gave out the strategy for the whole entire Discord. And what I was saying, if you see the stock price fall below $26.20, you want to go in with those $25 puts. A lot of members were able to make bank on this, but one thing that I want to be clear about, this is why it is very important that you have a game plan before you start your trading day, and that's why I love how we break everything down inside the Discord before the market opens. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch its full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support, we want to know resistance, we want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $25.40, being down 4.15%. On the low, it tested $25.25, and then on the high, testing $26.55. When we take a look at our volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 17.304 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 22.441 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we've seen a slight pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 48.18. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, you can see we are below the 100-day, we're also below the 200-day, and we're also below the 50-day. So what I was talking about yesterday, I would have loved to see us hold up the 21-day EMA at 25.62. So now that we actually close below it, so what that means, there could be a further pullback to the downside. If that ends up being the case, I'll be very curious to see if support can hold up right around $24. We ended up seeing a low of $25.25. So that's why we'd want to see $25 continue to hold up going into tomorrow. And if it doesn't, that's why I was saying we'll definitely get into the mid 24s or even lower. As far as where I want to see from the upside or looking for a reversal from Lucid, it's going to have some price action above 26.55. So that was the high of the day, and I'd want to look forward to a move where it can get above the 50-day, which is at $27.07. Most preferably, I would love to see it close above $27.50. This is definitely a lot to ask here, and I'm not expecting this to happen on Friday. But as far as for the month of April, this is very achievable. So we will continue to keep an eye on the price action, because what we want to see, will Lucid hold $25, and will this 50-day moving average continue to be an area of resistance? So now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. As we scroll down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So we're going to go over the recent filings that we did not get in yesterday's video because they did add a couple more. So let's get started. So we have Pacer Trend Pilot that purchased 50,307 shares, and then we also have Global X Nasdaq 100 Risk Managed Income ETF that purchased 1,886 shares. And then when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 56.83%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 5.4 million shares. And as we scroll down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.2 million, updated just now. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 7.47%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 29th, it was at 43.63, and then for the close of the 30th being at 56.83. So what this shows us, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Lucid. So we could see on the inflow, it was 71.33, and then on the outflow, it was 89.55. So we had an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 1.54. On the medium, it was 42.37, and then on the small, it was 27.42. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 15.98. On the medium, it was 48.52, and then on the small, it was 25.05. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for today, March the 31st, we had a big outflow of negative 14.44 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, it represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had a lot more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 1.05%. So no surprises there, it continues to be in a consistent range. We know that Lucid is owned by a lot of institutions, so that's why many who are holding on to their positions are not selling out. And this is great news for anyone who's a long-term investor. So let's go into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Lucid, when it comes to the price action, we closed at $25.40. And if you remember what I said in the previous video, I was really looking for us to hold support at $25.62. So what does this mean? That means if we have some more selling pressure going into the markets tomorrow, Lucid can go down to around $24.70. So you're going to want to keep an eye on the stock to see if it can continue to hold 25. If it is able to do this and we see strength inside of the markets, then of course the next level that we need to get to is $27. And as far as for the month of April, I'm really looking forward to seeing Lucid pick up some more steam. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, institutions are continuing to load up on shares. Plus, on top of that, Lucid does have short squeeze potential. But if you've been watching my videos long enough, that has always been the case. There's a lot of negative market sentiment around the stock. We know it is a growth stock. We also do know how capital intensive the business is. They're going to be facing a lot of challenges for 2022 in regard to supply chain shortages, and there's a lot of expectations that are placed upon them. But this also makes me want to go to my next point. If you are going to be trading this play, you have to have a game plan. I can't emphasize this more than enough. That is why inside of the Discord, I mentioned if you see the stock price get above $28.15, take a look at those $30 calls. But if you see the price break below $26.20, then you want to take a look at the $25 puts. Again, this is all from me doing my homework to make sure that all of the members are prepared if they're interested in playing Lucid. And I highly suggest if you're going to be doing this on your own, then you do the same thing. The last thing that you want to do is go in trading this play and not being prepared. And you also should be adapting the same approach if you want to see success inside of the markets. If you need some help on how to put things together, I highly suggest you join us in the Discord. The link is down in the description because we'll be happy to have you a part of the private community. And as far as for the sell-off that we had towards the end of the day when it came to the tech sector, we have to understand it is now the end of the first quarter. We're going to be going into Q2. And that is why you want to keep a close eye on these EV plays as we go into the month of April. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.